So on behalf of BAMB and the One Planet Network, I'd like to welcome you all here this morning. My name is Kathy Smith. I'm going to be the moderator asking questions. So as you know, we're talking about circularity in the built environment, which in itself sounds a bit complex. It is quite complex, but it's very exciting. I mean, the whole idea that a building can become a bank for materials. I was just looking at this building, and apparently this building was actually built with an idea that it could have another life, and you can sort of see there that instead of being welded, it's all bolted together so it could actually be dismantled and changed and put to different uses. So it's all very exciting. There are the tools, and we're going to hear about that today, that it is all possible, but how to mainstream it, how to scale it up. And we want to find out today what's happening, not just here in Europe, but elsewhere in the world, because if this is going to be a big movement, it's got to be global. We have got some initial Slido questions. Do we have them? Are you seeing the question yet on? I've not got mine. No, here we are. So construction and demolition waste and building manufacturers generate how much of the EU's total controlled waste? Is it 14%, 27%, 33% or 45%? Huh. Well, 60%. Oh, it's moving around. So, oh, half and half. Whoa! It's moving. Okay. You've probably guessed correctly, knowing the theme of the conference, but basically you say that 53% say 45%. That is correct, that basically construction and demolition waste is number one in terms of the controlled waste in the EU, so it's pretty high. Let's have a look at a second Slido question. So according to the IPCC, that's the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which sector has the largest potential in terms of mitigating greenhouse gas emissions at the lowest cost? Is it agriculture? Is it building? Is it mining? Or is it the hospitality sector? Well, if you didn't get this right, there's no point in you being here, because I think you all know how very important this whole subject is. But anyway, yes, 87%. So there you are. That's just a little teaser to test Slido. You seem to have all managed to get it onto your smartphones, and so we're ready to go, because there'll be many slightly more complex questions coming as we carry on. So I really now want to introduce to you your real host today. And first of all, Molly Steinlager, who is the BAMB project coordinator. So BAMB, materials, Buildings as Materials Bank. I think you all know what it means from Brussels Environment. Hi, Molly. So do you want to take a seat? And Pekka Hurvila, who's the coordinator of the Sustainable Buildings and Construction Program with the One Planet Network. Hi, Pekka. So basically our two hosts, and I just want to find out a little bit more about what's going to happen today and a little bit more about your organization. So Molly, I mean, a lot of people, of course, are familiar with the work of BAMB, but just before we talk about that, how do you react to these numbers? I mean, from somebody not in the sector, 45% is a really high number, isn't it, in terms of construction and demolition waste?
Yeah, indeed, it is a very high number, but in fact, that's not the only significant environmental impact. We also can attribute 50% of extracted resources to the sector, as well as 40% of greenhouse gas emissions. So combined, that's just an absolutely huge environmental impact. And so if we want to have a sustainable future, we really need to move towards a circular economy.
Hence, there's the establishment of BAMB.
Exactly. That's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to change the world, and we're trying to make a systemic shift towards a circular economy in the building sector.
Right, so tell us, for anyone who doesn't know exactly what BAMB is, tell us what it is, why.
So BAMB is an abbreviation for Buildings as Material Banks, and it's an EU-funded Horizon 2020 project. We're bringing together 15 partners from 7 different countries all across Europe, and we're working towards that goal of a systemic shift in the building sector.
And so, yeah, you're working towards a shift. So what are your objectives then?
Yeah, so of course, one of our key objectives is eliminating waste. We want to foster reuse, transformation, and high-grade upcycling of buildings, their products, and materials. And just to give you an example, At the start of the project, we were ambitious, but maybe not ambitious enough, and we had the hope of decreasing construction waste in our pilot projects by 30 to 50%. And actually, we've seen through prototyping and implementation at this stage in the project that through the use of the BAM reversible building design guidelines and tools, we'll actually exceed that goal and eliminate as much as 75 to even 90% of waste in the pilots.
So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's incredible. We're going to change the world.
Excellent. I like your ambition. So how have you done it? I mean, basically, you've developed various tools, which we're going to hear quite a lot about today.
Yeah, indeed. So concretely, what are we doing? Well, we're developing and integrating a series of different tools. Some of the pillars of the project are materials passports, reversible building design, as well as circular building assessment tools. And then in addition to that, those are further supported by new business models, policy propositions, and decision-making models. And then going one step further, as I already mentioned, we're testing and demonstrating the utility of those tools and their potential in real-scale pilot projects across Europe. And the type of project and the size of them varies quite a bit. So for example, we have a large new office building that's being developed or has actually already been completed in Germany. We have a rather ambitious renovation and repurposing project in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And we also have a traveling showroom that's going around Europe, raising awareness about BAM and the potential of reversible building and materials passports.
So you already said that you plan to change the world, but do you really think you've achieved something? Because this project is actually coming to an end of its first phase. I presume you're hoping that there will be more to come.
Yeah, I really do think that we have already achieved quite a lot. We still have more to do in this last quarter of the project. So we started in September of 2015, and the project will come to an end in February of 2019. So we have a little bit left to go, so just under 6 months. But we already actually have half of our outputs completed, and in this last push, we're going to finish all of the others. And so I'd say that we really have already achieved quite a lot in that short amount of time.
Great. Well, so Pekka, now tell us about the One Planet Network, because we're going beyond Europe now. Tell us a little bit about it.
We are the implementation platform, the 10-year framework of programs on sustainable consumption and production. And we have a global commitment to accelerate the shift towards sustainable consumption patterns in developing countries and in developed world. And we have also a global mandate that has been stated in the Agenda 2030 in SDG 12, precisely target 12.1. So we are operating in this at a global scale.
Can you just put the microphone a little bit closer? Is the sound okay? Are you hearing? Yeah. And you've got 6 programs, but I know that we're just going to hear mainly about 3 today.
Yes, we have buildings and construction, public procurement, and tourism here today. In addition to these 3, we have also lifestyles and education, consumer information, and food systems. And all these 6 programs, they have also very common, let's say, core towards this built environment. That is a common denominator here. Each of these programs, they also have a quite large stakeholder community on governments, industry, civil society, intergovernmental organizations, and academia. So it's quite large network that we bring together. And in addition to those, we have also partners. As an example, BAMB is one of the partners of the Buildings and Construction Program. And we are still running until 2022, so there's a possibility to join us in this global movement.
And that's the thing, isn't it, that you're still running. So what are your main objectives then for the rest of the program?
Well, each program has defined their own priorities in their sector. But after having run now 5 years, we are halfway in this 10 YSP, we have identified the circular economy as our common core. So all 6 programs are looking at what circularity means in their sector. It's not only environmentally, but it's also having, let's say, economical models, how that can be done in a viable way. And when we talk about the global south, also the informal sector can be formalized through this operationalization of circularity.
So how do you then operate? We've heard about the projects, the pilot projects that BAM's doing. What sort of activities are you involved in?
Well, mainly we also develop a knowledge base that can be then disseminated across different constituencies. We also share good practices. We develop implementation projects. As an example, in our buildings and construction project, we have initiated 5 projects in 8 countries where we are doing these things in practice. We also raise awareness in different events. We develop videos, podcasts, and organize events like that. We have done together with BAMB and also other programs, a couple of those before. So we also operate inter-program.
So Molly, as we said, you're coming to an end, but we talked. You already have a partnership with One Planet Network, but I mean, where do you go from here then in terms of building up more partnerships and trying to kind of spread the word, if you like?
Yeah, so actually the BAM consortium is already reaching out to partners like the One Planet Network and others as well. And what we're really hoping at this point in our project, as we're coming to a close, is we really want to raise awareness about the BAM project, make sure that everybody's aware in the sector of what we've been doing, what we've been achieving, and we want to make sure that the tools that we're developing or have already developed are going to be used in the EU and beyond. And the way that we're hoping to do that is through those partnerships, through raising awareness, and through the partnership like we've developed with the One Planet Network and the exciting program and the event that we've developed for you today.
So tell us more about that then.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so today we have the event basically can be broken down into 4 parts. So first, my colleagues from the BAM consortium are going to present to you some of our key tools that we've developed in relation to the topics of the day, so digitalization, public procurement, and circular building assessment. And then we're going to give the word to the One Planet Network team, and they're going to share more about some of their initiatives, what's already been happening, also look at how the BAM project can maybe be utilized outside of Europe, and also how can Europe learn from things that are already happening elsewhere around the globe. We're then going to dive into the question of what's next, because the BAM project is a good example of an initiative that is already taking place. The One Planet Network also has good examples of initiatives that are already taking place. But all of the solutions aren't there yet, so we want to ask what's next. How do we go forward to really make circularity possible? And we're going to do that through parallel sessions. We're going to have 5 different parallel sessions have been proposed so that we can dive into some specific questions. 3 of those different sessions have been proposed by the BAM team, and we're looking at the topics of materials passports and their potential for circularity in health. We want to dive deeper into the new tool that we've developed on circular building assessment. And then we want to actually question what's after digitalization. And then, Pekka, maybe you can share on the...
Yes, we are very happy to bring, because we see that Europe is actually in a leading position in this circularity in the built environment. And in this plenary session, we have one parallel thing on the public procurement led by our Dutch partners, and they are we find us at, let's say, leaders in this domain. That will be very interesting because they will share concrete cases on circular buildings, how they have been designed, how they are constructed, and which are the benefits for different stakeholders. And the other one, it's about tourism sector. They have also identified the circularity as an important feature for them doing successfully sustainable tourism. So both of them will be run by us. And we have also already earlier collaborated with tourism in this thing. We see that the built environment is in the core when you want to develop these activities in a sustainable way.
And then the very last part of the day will be coming back together and sharing the key messages that have come out of the different sessions, so that if you didn't get to follow one of the other sessions, but you're also interested, you can learn some of the key things that have come out of that session as well.
So we're going to get the audience very busy. There will be more people, no doubt, joining us as time goes on. But so, what do you want to kind of achieve by this day?
So from the BAM perspective, our goal is really to raise awareness, share knowledge, and learn today. And I think that we'll definitely achieve that. I'm actually quite excited to see that throughout the registration process, we've already had quite a good demand for the event, both in terms of numbers, but we've also seen that it's really interesting to see that we have so many people who are beyond the BAM stakeholder network. So some new faces in the room, as well as being able to reach so many people via live streaming. So I think that we'll definitely be able to achieve our goal of raising awareness of what's happening and what we still need to do to achieve our goals.
And Pekka, what about you?
Our expectations are very high here to learn better what BAM has done, and we will know more about that in next session and see if we can somehow help in disseminating these things across the world, and also try to bring in things here. But it's not only BAM and One Planet Network also want to interact with the audience. This group of experts being here present today, we want also to interact with you and see how the things could be then have a positive change.
Great. Well, thank you both very much indeed. That gives us a good introduction to what we're going to expect for the rest of the day. So thank you.